Wait. Yeah, we're starting now. Good afternoon, everyone. Can can everyone hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
I hear you well, yes.
Okay, sorry for the delay. I was waiting for others to join.
All right.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'll be your moderator for today's webinar series. And before we start, I would want us to know the ground rules, which I'm sure most of us have adhered to already. Please mute your microphones. I'm sure most of us have done it already. And please be also reminded that we should communicate with each other with respect. And please don't forget to introduce yourself in the chat box, because we're not just here to learn, we're also here to, connect with each other, find new friends, and learn, and then get to know each other. I'm your moderator, and my name is Mary Dora Kamara. I'm from Sierra Leone, so you can tell us what you do, where you're joining from, and yeah, maybe you be generous enough to share with us your LinkedIn profile so we can connect and then get to know each other more. So without further ado, we go to today's webinar agenda. We'll definitely do introduction, and then we'll get to know how well we know Africa as Africans. And then I'll introduce our first speaker. We'll get the presentation from the first speaker. And then we have some Q&A session, and then we'll repeat the same process for the second speaker. And then we'll close with some remark. And yeah, that's it for today. So we'll go straight to introducing Margaret. As we all know, the Africa Energy Series is hosted by Margaret. And Margaret is an organization that is passionate about empowering Africans, especially young Africans, with knowledge that we need to transition to clean energy and also combat climate change in the process. So it was founded by three ladies, three young women from Africa, West Africa to be precise, that are passionate about contributing to the fight against climate change in Africa. So their vision is to build a community and a strong network of like-minded people, not forgetting organizations also that are willing and ready to fight against climate change, combating it in Africa, and also make Africa a continent that has clean and sustainable energy. So with this, I'll just give us a brief explanation about what the Africa Energy Series is all about and what does it aim to, what are the aims, what is the aim for this series. So we all know that there's a knowledge gap, significant one, among African youths. I mean, we just go to all these maybe COP or other conferences, just give like a brief of what our country is doing regarding climate actions, the zero targets, and energy transition plans, and so on and so forth, where we have a lot of things that is going on in our respective countries. So with that, we want to learn from each other and then see how this knowledge gap can be bridged, where we get to learn what is working for one country that I can implement in my country as well, that will work for me. So to address and bridge this gap, that's why Margaret started the African webinar series, African Energy series, sorry, which has been going on for the past months. And we have done over 30 webinars for different countries. And the aim is simple yet impactful. It's just like to educate and forge partnerships between countries, for us to be able to help each other, learn from each other, and help push our continent. As I stated earlier, so far we have covered over 30 countries, and we are on the journey to go across all 55 countries before the end of the year. So we look forward to seeing you always joining us every Saturday in this energy webinar series. So I'd like to introduce you to the Margaret team. We have Miridora Kamara, myself, I'm the programs coordinator. And then we have Suleiman Aisha Abba. She is a communication and partnership coordinator. Then we have Georgette Celestine Udor, who is our design and technical coordinator. So, before we go further, we would want to tell everyone, if you've not been following us on our social media platforms, please do after the webinar or in the course of the webinar. If you have a time to spare, you can just follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, which was Twitter, and we're Green. You can like, comment, and share our posts. And if you want to get updates on what's going on with Margaret, you can also get it through our social media platforms. So next is I'm going to allow my colleague Georgette to take us through the Mentimeter. Georgette, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. And good afternoon,
Okay.
everyone.
Let me
Thank you
stop
so much,
sharing.
Mary, for the wonderful introduction. So I'm going to share my screen slowly, but I have put a link in the chat in which you can also click to join the Mentimeter. And this period, what we aim to do is to just share more knowledge and understand how best Africa works. So I'll quickly share my screen and just make us see and learn from each other. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's a learning process. So we get to learn more about Africa. So what is the longest river in Egypt? Is it Mississippi? Is it the Nile River? Or is it the Amazon River? So feel free to put in your answers. Let's just see and learn from each other. Okay, so there's more of a tie here. I'm seeing Mississippi River, I'm seeing Amazon, I'm seeing the Nile. Who knows the correct answer now? Okay, so I see people are really going for Mississippi. So the correct answer is the Nile River. And yes, that's the longest river in Egypt. So the next question is, who was the first female pharaoh of Egypt? Is it Cleopatra? Is it Nefertiti? Or Hatshepsut? Forgive my pronunciations, but please, which of the three is the correct first female pharaoh in Egypt? See a lot of people going for Cleopatra. Are you sure it's Cleopatra? If you watch movies, you hear a lot about her, but are you sure she's the first female pharaoh of Egypt? Okay, I see people trying to do some guesswork here. Are you sure it's not Nefertiti? But yes, the correct answer is Hatshepsut. So she's the first female pharaoh in Egypt. And the third question is, what is Egypt's primary agricultural product? Is it wheat? Is it rice? Is it corn? Is it soybeans? So which of them is the primary agricultural product of Egypt? Wow, I see a lot of people running to wheat. Are you sure it's not rice? We have rice like one of the most staple food in Africa. So are you sure you're not skipping to the wrong angle? It should be more of rice or corn or maybe soybeans. Okay, everyone is on wheat. And yes, the correct answer is wheat. That's the primary agricultural product in Egypt. So our next question is about Lesotho. So what is the capital of Lesotho? Is it Maseru? Is it Bokong? Is it Leribe? So let's see. I just want to be sure. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Georgette, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. So, okay, the correct answer is Maseru. That's the capital of Lesotho. So our next question is, what is the main natural hazard in Lesotho? So we are here talking about climate change, renewable energy, and energy transition. So which of these three is the main natural hazard in Lesotho? Is it periodic drought? Is it floods? Is it earthquakes? Which of them is it? Okay, I see a lot of people going for floods. Are you sure we don't have earthquakes in Lesotho or drought? Okay, now we have a tie. Who's going to break the tie? So the correct answer to this is periodic drought. So over the past periods of climate change, we've experienced more droughts in Lesotho than floods. Then our final question for this session is, which of these countries share border with Lesotho? Is it South Africa? Is it Zimbabwe? Is it Mozambique? Okay, a lot of people are going for South Africa. Are you sure it's not Zimbabwe or Mozambique? Okay. Yes, the correct answer is South Africa. I see we are very knowledgeable today. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. I will hand you back to Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Georgette. I don't know, like I was in the I don't want to say guessing side. I was just in between. Some things I know, some I don't know. But thank you. It was really educative and insightful. Thank you. So yeah, we go straight to the next point on my agenda, which is introducing our first speaker. Our first speaker. So our first speaker, please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not calling your name properly, is Hegagani. She is a
Haja?
twin.
Gadi.
Haja. Okay, Haja. Oh God.
Yeah.
Haja Gandhi. Ganin. Gardening or
Gadi.
anyways.
Gadin.
Garden.
Gadin.
Okay.
Two gads.
Thank you. Haja Garden. She's a 24 years old and young environmentalist with an education background from environmental sciences at Faculty of Science. She is also a youth climate activist seeking to share sustainability and environmental awareness beyond different institutions, ages, and backgrounds in a scientific way. She was a part of various international, regional, and local projects accredited from the UN, EU, Yongo, and more different entities for almost 5 years. Wow. She's experienced for almost 3 years in environmental consultancy for assessing significant projects, Egypt and Middle East, leading sustainable assessment studies. Currently, she works as an environmental and sustainability specialist at Promethean Tire Company to maintain eco-friendly and sustainable solutions inside a heavy industry for better sustainable future. Miss Ganin, Miss or Madam, let me say Madam. Madam Ganin,
As
over
long
to
as
you,
yes.
please. Yeah, sorry, please. Over to
No, no, it's
you.
not. Yes.
Over to you. You have the floor. I think you have access to share your screen. Let me stop sharing so that
Okay, I
you
will
will
share it now.
take over. Over to you.
Right. You hear me well, yes?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. You see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
All
Yeah.
right. First of all, I'm glad to be with you today to share environmental situations in Egypt through Africa Energy Series. It's a pleasure to me to be a part of this series. And I was glad and happy by the Mentimeter you did to show the highlights of Egypt and Lesotho also uh, in our fields and our like pressure that we have in Africa countries. And now we are talking about Egypt. I'm Hajar Gadin from Alexandria, Egypt, a coastal city in Egypt. And now I will give you some hints about Egypt, where we are, and what is the energy situations in our country. The population of Egypt is almost 114 484 thousand on the space and capacity of land of 1 million kilometer square. The current energy consumption of Egypt monthly year to date is 13,800 and kilowatt per hour. And the capital of Egypt is Cairo, as we all know. And our location is in northern Africa. Like I will show you this. This is our location on our Earth. And when we gonna talk about the Egypt population, here is the curve of our exponential increasing, starting from 1950 and towards also for the future. So in the current situation, here there's an increase by 1.57% increase from 2023 to 2024, and also the same increase from 2022 to the 2023. So there is a slightly increase between 2020 till now. This is the gap or the growth rate and the annual change of the population graphs. And here we are marking, like I told you in the first slide, that we are 114,000 for the population. And here when we see the growth rate is decreasing through the years, and we are on the UN projections, we will facing a less growth rate by the forecasting or foreseeing of our percentages. And here we are taking in consideration Egypt electricity access between 1960 and 2024. And here we are reaching in 2024 on the 100% of access of electricity in Egypt, despite we are facing some issues, but still we have electricity access. And this percentage was began from 2015, almost 2016, to be in the higher level, which is 100% of access. Before that, we were going through 98 with this average from 1992 and 2021. The average was almost 98 something, and gonna through that up and down to reach from 2016 100 percentage of electricity. This is regarding and exponentialing to the percentage of population. So here we are talking about electricity access in the consideration of percentage of our population, which is already has an increasing slightly. And for the accessibility to the clean fuel and technologies for cooking in the rural areas and also for the urban areas, it's similar. For the rural areas, it's 98.8, and for the urban areas, it's 99.8 in the rural and 99.9 in the urban by the average 100% of total growth rate of the accessibility of the electricity. Here also we are talking about the clean fuel, not only all the electricity gap. Okay, so it's maybe will be the same for the clean fuel, and we will talk about the clean fuel and the cooking fuel in the rural uh, and the urban cities. It's a small difference between them. It's maybe the similar between rural and urbans. Like we talk about the statistics and the graphs representing Egypt's situation in the energy transition. uh, as long as Egypt is the largest energy producers and suppliers in Africa, in the fact of that we are one of the most populated countries in the African continent. So, like I told you, that the average between population and the energy, it's making sense, but it doing some pressure on the like the needs of electricity. Because if we are already having the energy coverage, but the population is increasing, so this will be a big issue to like to achieve the sustainability, and especially the SDG number 7, because energy is enrolled into all of the SDGs and have a big affect and big value on the economy, environment, and also for the society. So it's have a pressuring because of the population, and even if our consumption it's not as much as a developed countries, but it's also large due to our population increasing. Moreover, the whole Egyptian population had the access to a reliable energy sources from 2015 and 2016. Due to energy blackouts, the government set a plan to diversify and invest more in this sector. The ancient country is the largest consumer of petroleum. However, other liquids and natural gas on the African continent at a ground of 19% and 37% of total consumption. So we have, but also there is a diversity in our energy consumption and production. um, as long as we are talking about the statistics and facts of Egypt in energy transition, we don't forget that we are achieving almost 42% of renewables in the power energy, and to reducing 37% of our emissions, our greenhouse gases emissions by 2030, as this is our target. And the gas dominates the power of 78% in 2022. And this is like a highlight of our diversity. The most highlighting thing that in the first quarter of 2024, diesel and electricity prices increased by around 20% in Egypt. And maybe this is an issue or a hassle Like we don't have a clear forecasting for the future, but till now we are trying to reduce the diesel consumption in Egypt and to um, like replace it with a more renewable energies. For the gas, exports doubled between 2019 and 2021 and remain stable in 2022. For the gas accounts for 51% of total consumption, and almost 60% of gas is used for a power generation in 2022. And for that construction, this is a good highlight. Constructing of 1.2 gigawatt of Unit 4 of the El Dab'a Station nuclear power plant has already started. And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but it's from the most largest renewable energy stations in the world. And also, it's a very, very special highlight for Africa in energy transition. Here we are achieving in Egypt. And for Egypt's untapped solar potential that can help the overcome over the fossil fuel and fossil gas dependency and cut it rising power sector emissions, there is three pillars that we will talk about. First of it, it's a consumption and renewability and production. The consumption of energy in Egypt is representing and relying on the fossil fuel for 88% of its electricity till 2023. And its per capita emissions, it's lower than the global average, but we are seeking for better than that. So we are seeking for renewability, and renewability here in Egypt for the largest clean electricity source, it's a hydro by 7% only. Wind and solar starting to grow, comprising almost 5% of country electricity in 2023. But that's not enough. So we will talk about the production, and the production in Egypt that we know that Egypt is Africa's largest fossil gas generating country, responsible for coverage of 45% of continent's gas generation in 2022. And from 2017, what we did and what our production situation, it's for oil production. Yes, the oil production has declined by an average of 1.6% per year, reaching 29.6 metric ton in 2022. Production is concentrated in, like you see here, the Western Desert by 50%, 56%, and Gulf of Suez by 23%, as there are the most two or the biggest two places in Egypt for oil production. And Egypt consumes almost of all of its oil production. The country has refining capacity of 830 kp per day, which is plus 4% almost by the end of 2022. And this is a graph to show the exponentiality and our curve in the energy consumption to justify or to summarize what we talk already about. Because here, when we are on 1990, it's almost by 30,000 kilo ton. And here in Egypt, we are reaching almost 100,000. The types of electricity and consumption, different trends for this coal, oil, and gas cause of the fossil fuel are containing or are like dividing into coal, oil, and natural gas. So there's different types of it. We also adding biomass and primary electricity, but it's very small percentage of it. So majorly we are depending on oil and natural gas. And this is not a very good thing. We are exerting our efforts, but till now we don't have a clear plan for the net zero target. So we don't have a long-term strategy for the UNFCCC saying we are dedicating or to decreasing the energy from like this to that, or we have a plan for 1 to 3. No, we are doing our best. We are have clear steps, a clear effective steps, but we don't have a clear plan with dedicated numbers to identify what will be our situation in the future. But like I told you, we already have like good stories to tell and good steps to work on for achieving reducing the greenhouse gases and to adapting and mitigating to the climate change effect. And not only we, but there is a lot of Africa countries to have great success stories through Africa energy transition state, and you can find this through the agreement for the commitments for the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi that was held in 2023, September 2023. This was a super exciting document to read and to see what is our situation in Africa as African countries, and what our situation in the world, by what is our stories to tell, what is our good impact to have, and if we have a future plan or a future target. It's also like concepted in this concept note or in this agreement. I will show you the agreement, but there is some highlights for some very useful steps the countries that have done and that have considered in its future, like Algeria, Democratic Republic of Algeria. This is some examples. I just highlighting them, and after that, I will show you the document itself. It's super proud to see such a steps from those countries to have literally supporting the climate actions. Like Algeria committed to reduce their greenhouse gases emissions by 7% by the 2030, and this we hope so. Republic of Burundi, by 2040, Burundi plans to implement a resilience to climate change, a plan for protection and on the environment and enhancement resilience of climate change. And here we are talking about commerce. We are talking about regenerative blue economy and implementation of Great Blue Wall initiative, aiming to mobilize almost for $15 billion by 2030 to support natives and support the nation itself to reduce the overfishing and to clean the oceans, which is a very supportive and clear and like very interesting step to take to save our oceans. When we are talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, we will highlight to $20 million investment in carbon projects. And here, when we are talking about Egypt, it's mobilizing almost $5 billion to develop and find a 5 gigawatt of renewable energy in Africa, which is a very representative number. Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for a long-term low emissions and climate resilience development strategy in 2023 for planning of 30-year aiming to reach net zero by 2050. And for the Republic of South Africa, we are announcing establishment of $1 million to fund investments in the green energy technologies. And here I can show you the document itself. And this is an overview for the agreed commitments and announcements in Africa. And like you see, you can read this document. It's from African Union. It's very good to see what is our current situation in Africa and what our country is doing. Uh, Here also for Kenya, they are taking very good step. I think most of countries in Africa doing highlight the steps towards net zero. South Africa, I think Kenya, and a lot of countries, to not forget anyone. Unfortunately, Egypt don't have a net zero target, but like I told you that we are seeking for achieving more. But proudly that in African countries we have much of Africa countries that targeting net zero by 2030, by 2040, but we are doing its plan already, like Kenya, Ethiopia, Namibia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe. I think I took much of time and I exceeded my time, but I hope to enjoy it and to interested in this some slides and session. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And thank you for supporting and listening.
Thank you very much. That was really insightful. We're so happy to have you. We thank you very much for that presentation. And please, anyone that has a question, you can drop it in the chat box or, yeah, please drop it. So I'll just go first. The project that you were mentioning about the $5 billion, saying that you use 5 gigawatts of renewable energy in Africa. Is it like you develop this renewable energy project that you with 5 gigawatts and you supply the electricity to other African countries, or it's just you're just adding it to the existing energy that you have in Egypt, or you will, share it with other African countries? So I just want some clarification in that, please.
This is a question, yes?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know, to be honest, in this point, what will be the governmental case or the governmental dealing. But I think as we are Egypt, when we have great steps in affording some energy stations and some energy transitions, we can afford it to our neighbors and our African countries. So I think yes, we are helping the African countries by any step we are doing, but which countries and by which by which percentage and the details of it, I think it's gonna to be more governmental, and I didn't include in it. But this is a strategic way to looping all the African countries together.
Thank you very much for that answer. First of all, I want to commend Egypt. Like, you people, your energy situation has been like, okay, we'll say okay, because some of us that are coming from countries in Africa where we have something like 32% access to electricity, and you're talking about 99% access to electricity since the 90s. Like, that's really, really impressive. Like, we're really motivated. Seeing these type of things happening in African countries is really like pushing us. This is why we want this Africa Energy series, because we'll not be able to know this in any other like normal discussion. So learning it from someone that is there is really impressive. And thank you
Yes.
very much for sharing it with us. There's someone that wants to ask. Okay, go ahead.
Right?
You have.
That's me.
Yes, just give me a comment in it. Yes, we are having 99%, 99.9 accessibility of electricity. This is by the graphics and by the World Bank indications and like this. But in the fact, it's not like the graphs. So we are still having issues because yes, we are having the accessibility itself, but we don't cover all our needs. So we have a electricity issue in the end of the story due to I don't know why, but maybe policies and like governmental issues. I don't know the details of it, but yes, on the graphs we are have full accessibility because we are country of electricity and we can find petroleum and oil and like this, but we already have an issues. So all we hope, I think, to find like a middle ground for like stability for our energy transition.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You can go ahead. I think we have another question and then we'll go to the next speaker after this one.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. And that was a very insightful presentation. Thank you for sharing. I just wanted to know if you have details of how far the nuclear plant is from construction. Thank you.
Hello, Miss Haja. Did you get that? Hello. Maybe you just drop it in the comments, and then hopefully when she comes back, because I don't think she's with us. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's I've shared the question in the chat. Thanks. Should I start?
Miss Mary, you're on mute.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. So we go to the next speaker. Let me just
Sorry,
share my
I was
screen. Oh,
sorry.
okay,
My
okay.
laptop. Yes, my
Go
laptop was
ahead.
dead.
Oh, sorry.
So yes, if you have any question, I didn't get it. So you can tell me again. And if
Yeah,
I'm out of time,
I think it's in the chat box. Um, she's saying interested in planned nuclear plant. How soon is the construction happening? Like the construction for the planned nuclear plant. How soon is it happening?
sorry.
Like, it's on the chat box. Someone is asking how soon is the construction for the planned nuclear plant happening?
Can you send the question in the chat box again? Cause
Yes, it's
I
okay.
got out of
Okay.
meeting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me just
All right.
um, okay, she's saying how soon?
Where?
How soon is the construction for I'm typing it, please.
All right.
For the planned nuclear plant happening.
What's the meaning of the construction of nuclear plants? Where? How soon is the
Yeah,
construction
so
for the planned nuclear plant happening? It started already.
okay.
Yes, it's starting to work on already, but it's
Uh
uh, differ from time to time depending on the capacity.
okay.
Yeah,
Maybe we just connect with each other and then talk about it later, because we have to go to the next speaker because of time.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming. And then we go straight to our next speaker. She is from Lesotho. Her name is, again, please correct me if I'm calling your name the wrong way. Marorisang Patricia Makutusa. Well, she is a statistician with 13 years of experience in the energy sector. She's currently leading the Enhanced Lesotho's private sector readiness for clean energy transition project as a national technical expert and project coordinator at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. In her role, she's responsible for coordinating the implementation of project work plans and progress reports. She manages a team of national experts and ensures strategic coordination and consultation with other key national stakeholders to maximize synergies for the conductive clean tech business ecosystem. She is passionate for sustainable energy and evidence. Okay, her passion for sustainable energy is evidenced through her active involvement in various initiatives such as Women in Sustainable Energy in Lesotho, a non-governmental organization that is dedicated to empowering women and promoting their active participation in the energy space in Lesotho. Miss Patricia, I don't know if you're on the call. I guess I saw you earlier.
I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the.
Kindly take over. You have the floor.
Okay, thanks so
And
much.
yeah,
Um, Let me just try to share. Not very familiar with Zoom. Please bear with me.
it's okay.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And thanks so much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be part of the African Energy Series. And I am even more glad that it's a women-led initiative. This can be aligned with my active role in Women in Sustainable Energy, where I'm a co-founder, and I'm very happy to see women being active in this clean energy transition agenda. So as you already mentioned, my name is Marosa Makututsa from Lesotho. And officially, the name of the country is Mountain Kingdom of Lesotho. It's based in Southern Africa and completely surrounded by South Africa. The capital city is Maseru, and the nation has been founded in 1824 by King Moshoeshoe I. It's under the current leadership of King Letsie III, who is the head of the state, but we also have a prime minister. It gained its independence in 1966 in October from it's the London colonialism. So currently the total population in Lesotho is 2 million. And the size is 30,000 square kilometers. And the GDP as of 2024 stands at 288 USD. These are the 10 districts of the country, and the capital city, like I mentioned earlier, is Maseru. Yeah, this is where I'm currently based. So in terms of the energy sector, the Ministry of Energy is responsible for all energy affairs in the country. And in terms of technical issues, policy development, and coordination of the sector, the Department of Energy takes the role. Under the Department of Energy, we have a rural electrification unit, which oversees electrification through grid, where the national utility does not see business sense. We also have the regulator, which is Lesotho Water and Electricity Authority, and we currently established Lesotho Electricity Generation Company, which is responsible for generation of electricity in all its different technologies and sizes. We also have the national utility, which is Lesotho Electricity Company, but we also have the support of the private sector and the NGOs. In terms of the energy profile, the electrification rate, which is electricity access to the household, I think this is different from other African countries like Tanzania, where electricity access is determined by backbone infrastructure being available to the nearest households or villages. But for us, when we talk electrification, we mean we have access to all these households. I hope that is clear. So it's currently at 54%, and the energy dependency rate is 26.9%. This just means that or how it is calculated is the local supply minus exports plus imports. So you get the ratio of that over total energy supply. So we are currently at 26.9%, which is not very bad. But with regard to electricity, it's getting a bit worrying because we are predominantly generating through renewable energy. We have a local capacity of 72 megawatts, which meets mainly the base load, but we are now facing some deficiencies, and that has led us to import electricity from South Africa as well as Mozambique. And our dependency rate on these countries is 51% as of 2022, and it's increasing. So peak demand in 2024 now, I have seen that the publications are over 230 megawatts, but as in 2022, it was at 172 megawatts. But this is mainly in winter when the country is freezing. I've already talked to energy imports, but I would also like to mention that we do not have any reserves of petroleum products or crude oil. So we 100% import all our petroleum products through South Africa. But in terms of total energy imports, it accounts for 74.2%. And then coal accounts for 10.10%. And the other part is electricity. But in terms of energy consumption, the country is heavily reliant on biofuel consumption. And this is mainly in the rural areas where electrification is not yet that accelerated, I would say. And the reason for this is the what we say is the way the country is. The country is very mountainous, so extending grid to some of the mountainous areas is very difficult. So we see a lot of electrification being accelerated in the urban areas, but there's still a big problem in the rural areas where it's greatly mountainous. And this over-reliance on biofuels has caused over-harvesting of shrubs as well as fuel wood or forests, leading to, I would say, it's, what do we call this? Making the country more vulnerable to climate change impacts, I would say that. Thank you. And then moving on to GHG emissions and mitigation targets. Energy sector, also FOLU, which is land and other agriculture and other sectors, account to the largest part of GHG emissions in the country. And as you can see, in 2004, the energy sector contributed 47% of GHG emissions. And then in 2010, when we developed the third national climate communication, which is the basis for the third national communication plan, the energy sector contributed over 49% of GHG emissions. That means the energy sector is a great contributor to GHG emissions and causes great climate impacts in the country. This is mainly through the transport sector, which is not at all regulated. We have a great lot of fleet coming from Japan, and it's not regulated at all. So the consumption of oil is increasing, and we are not even able to, I would say, reliably account to that because there is no registry of this imports coming into the country. With regard to projections in terms of GHG emissions, this is aligning to the third national communication plan developed in 2021. The GHG emissions from the energy sector in 2010 were 2.6 kilotons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And in 2020, they were projected to 2.8 kilotons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And if no mitigation plans are implemented, this is to rise to 3,000 in 2030. In terms of mitigation targets by the third national communication plan, in 2011, we had emissions, the plan to mitigate emissions to 4.7. And this target has been increased to 2030 by, please excuse me. The mitigation target is 4.5 kilotons of carbon dioxide equivalent in 2030. So in terms of policies in the energy sector that, or rather that talk to climate change in the energy sector and also specifically in climate change, we have, or we align with the National Strategic Development Plan of 2018-2019 to 2022-2023, which has been extended. And through the National Strategic Development Plan, the government of Lesotho commits to reversing environmental degradation and adaptation to climate change. And specifically with regard to energy, the NSDP aims to improve energy production and to increase access to energy and promote sustainable use. We also have the National Energy Policy of 2015-2025, which aims to make sure that energy is universally accessible and affordable in a sustainable manner with minimal negative impacts on the environment. So there are a number of strategies under the National Energy Policy. This includes energy efficiency strategies, renewable energy, and grid extension or electricity access. In order to implement the national energy policy, the government of Lesotho set a national electrification master plan of 2018 to 2038. And with the national electrification master plan separates the country into two. where it's possible to extend grid and where it's also not possible to extend grid, we will deploy off-grid electrification. This includes mini grids powered through renewable energy, as well as provision of modern and clean energy technologies that could be portable solar home systems and any that could come up in the market suitable for such areas. In terms of climate change or specifically climate change, we have the nationally determined contributions. We align also with the climate change policy and the national communications. Currently, the recent national communication is the third national communication of 2021, and all these documents talk to expanding power generation from renewable energy, participating and contributing to the international dialogue and negotiations, promoting energy efficiency in buildings, identifying opportunities for the private sector participation, and also commit to mitigation and adaptation to improve sinks by adopting clean energy technologies. Moving on, some of the initiatives that are planned and currently ongoing in the energy sector for mitigation and adaptation are, we have under the Lesotho electricity generation company, which is newly established. We have the support from the government of China to develop 70 megawatt solar generation plant, and the status of construction is really advanced. It's going to be grid connected, but there's also a plan to increase this capacity by 50 megawatts with some storage to counter the intermittency issue of renewable energy power plants. We also have a 20 megawatt solar power plant by an independent power producer, which is One Power, and it's still under construction, but also in an advanced stage. We also have some support from the Japanese government to develop or to construct a 1.1 hydropower plant that will add to the national installed capacity. There are other wind power projects that are in the pipeline, but a bit not advanced, so I didn't put any of those here. They are still under feasibility, and so they will be implemented in later stages. In terms of projects that are trying to talk to the climate change mitigation as well as the clean energy transition, we had support from the European Union delegation or commission to implement a project that was called Support to Reforms in the Energy Sector. This project aimed to clear mandates between the different actors in the energy sector such that there are no conflicts, and also to pilot some energy efficient household devices. And under this project, we were able to develop an energy efficient strategy for buildings. The second project, which is also completed, is development of cornerstone public policies and institutional capacities to accelerate SE for all progress, which was financed by the JEF, and it aimed at deploying policies and strategies to promote private sector investment and in mini grids and portable solar home systems. It was also aimed to pilot private sector-led mini grids as well as energy centers where we will get all this clean energy technologies accessible to remote villages that do not have access to grid electricity. We have now an ongoing project which aims to scale up electrification in households as well as in, economic zones. The project is financed by the World Bank. It will also deploy triple P mini grids or pilot mini grids under triple P model. And last year, under the EU, we kicked off a program which is called Renewable Lesotho. The objective of this program is to ensure that Lesotho is able to produce electricity from renewable energy to full capacity to meet all its needs and be able to export to neighboring countries. So it will provide some financing for production of infrastructure, for big power production plants, as well as mini grids that are powered through renewable energies. And lastly, we have some initiatives that talk specifically to private sector involvement in the energy sector. We received financing from the Green Climate Fund to implement enhancing Lesotho's private sector readiness for a clean energy transition project, which is implemented with the support of UNIDO. And this is a readiness project which aims to provide capacity to clean tech innovators in the country who come up with innovative solutions that try to address climate change effects and mainly in adaptation. So our services in this regard is business acceleration to help such innovations to grow and reach commercialization. We also provide ecosystem strengthening services, whereby we will also develop a private sector engagement strategy that will enable the government of Lesotho to talk to other ecosystem actors like the private sector and the academia, research institutions, as well as the NGOs. But of great importance is that out of all this work that we're doing, we're going to document all these lessons and build from them and develop 2 full-scale projects that will seek financing from the GCF and with the aim to advance climate adaptation and resilience. Some of the actors in the country from the private sector who are really doing a great job is the African Clean Energy, which has a very innovative improved biomass stove that addresses clean cooking as well as clean lighting through this one gadget, and is also able to charge phones. The stoves comes with a phone, and they are linked such that the African Clean Energy is able to see if the stove is being used or if there's a problem with the stove, and they are able to contact the household in use of the stove to support. We also have Solar Lights, who is also producing similar stoves, but also distributes clean lighting products. We have One Power, who is the most experienced in terms of mini grid deployment in the country. And they have developed one mini grid in one of the villages in the Berea district, which is really working well. And the government is taking lessons from that in the deployment of all the other mini grids that I talked to. Mahlasedi Energy and Cancer Energy, as well as Mossad and Guyana, were supported under the Enhancing Lesotho's Private Sector Readiness for a Clean Energy Transition. And there are early stage companies in the renewable energy space that are looking to contribute to the acceleration of electricity access through portable clean energy systems, as well as mini grids. The Guyana, to be specific, is looking into biogas systems as a clean energy solution. I think this is all with regard to my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I covered my time well. I would be very happy to take questions, but thank you for your support and attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was really educative, and insightful. Thank you. I think there is a question for you in the chat box saying, could you share a bit more on the energy efficiency strategy, please?
Okay, thank you so much. The energy efficiency strategy for buildings was developed for the local government and particularly for the housing department to ensure that clean energy efficiency is streamlined in the construction of buildings. Could be household buildings, it could be industrial buildings, but to streamline energy efficiency strategies. Thank you.
Thank you very much again. There's no question from my end. Your presentation was, I think, simple and easy for me to understand. It was a nice presentation overall. Thank you very much for your time and for accepting our invite. Really appreciate. Want to thank our speakers. I don't think we have any more questions in the chat box. So want to thank our speakers for taking their time to come and for the insightful presentations that they gave us today. We look forward to partnering with you and collaborating with you in the future. Margaret, as you know, Margaret is a woman organization, so we look forward to working with both of you in the future, and we hope this continues for a long time. And without further ado, don't forget, let me just reiterate this, don't forget to follow us on our social media handles, share our posts. You can also like and comment, and then stay, connected with us and look forward to what we're doing next. We'll have a lot of things in stock for you. And I think we'll have to draw the curtains here for today. We thank everyone that took their time to join us for today's webinar. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a nice weekend. Bye. Margaret saying thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.